Man. So hard week. Now the Sooners have to get ready in chippy conditions. And I don't just mean playing in Manhattan where Bob Stoops hasn't ever lost. Bill Snyder has never beaten Bob up there. But also it's going to be a little chippy as far as the weather is concerned. The team at the stadium is going to be hungry for their first conference win. And plus the Sooners had some plane issues from Will Rogers. They did get in last night at about midnight, 11:30, 12 o'clock, according to Twitter and my buddy Chris Plank, who does the radio broadcast. So that's done. So the team's there. Will they be focused? Let's break down the game next between Oklahoma and Kansas State. Let's rock. Alrighty, everybody, as we said earlier, the game will be played at Bill Snyder Stadium, one of the few stadiums to have the name after their own current head coach. But remember, that's because he retired, and then now he's back in Manhattan for a second stint since 2009. Oklahoma at Kansas State. Weather should be kind of chilly in the low 60s, low to mid 60s. So bring your jackets, bring your parkas. Might get kind of chilly there. Not to mention the fact is of all the problems, of all the distractions that are there, the plane distractions, the distractions of Bob Stoops never losing in Manhattan. Vice versa, Bill Snyder never beating Bob in Manhattan. Homecoming, all that is all going to be included. And the hungry team. The team, Kansas State, I can guarantee you they're going to be hungry. And it's basically going to be a basic representation, an exact replica of what we saw last week with Texas. We're going to have to see that again. And that will take place on ABC at 2:30. The radio and TV broadcasts are as follows. The TV broadcast on ABC, Dave Lamont will be the play-by-play man. Ray Bentley will be the color guy. And Don Davenport will handle the sideline for the game. Or you can listen to our broadcast, the Sooner Radio Network. Of course, the lead play-by-play guy on that, Toby Rowland. Also, Merv Johnson does the color analyzing for the Sooner broadcast team. The sideline reporting for the Sooner broadcast team. He does the main sideline guy for Oklahoma does a lot of OU stuff now. He's got his own OU podcast out. He does a lot of Sooner sports. He's also a Soonersports.com correspondent. That will be Chris Plank. He also has a couple of big linebackers in there keeping him warm. Teddy Lehman, Sports Talk 1400, of course, was on number 11 for those great Oklahoma teams in the early 2000s, and then from the mid 2000s, number 42 Rufus Alexander, now on the franchise, will handle that also. Something interesting to know about this game is that in this series, is that since 2012, which is when the Big 12 was kind of reconstructed, all right, the road team has won every game. Kansas State winning in Norman and Oklahoma winning in Manhattan. Kind of an awkward statistic there. Hopefully that continues. If it's going to continue, this is what Oklahoma's going to have to do. This is what Oklahoma's done in the past, Oklahoma's averaging 37 points a ball game, right at 37, 37.0. That is best for 40th in the country. Yards per game for Baker Mayfield and company, Lincoln Riley and those guys, they are at 473.0 points per ball game. That's Lincoln's part of the team. What about Mikey's part of the team? Well, they are at 22.6 points per ball game, 92nd in the nation, and yards allowed are 85th in the nation. Yards allowed per ball game, here we go, 364.0 points per ball game, 92nd in the nation. Of course, the Oklahoma Sooners, they are led by their man, Big Stoops, Big Game Bob Stoops. Spent all 16 years here at Oklahoma, in his 16th year. In 15 years, he has 168 wins with 44 losses. That is an .802 winning percentage, including an 8-5 year last season to finish them tied for 4th in the nation, in the Big 12, with themselves, of course, Texas and West Virginia. The Sooners entered the game 5-2. Or 5-1, I'm sorry. 4-1. They've beaten Akron 41-3. They went on the road and played at Tennessee. Got a big time win out there, 31-24. They then went out and beat Tulsa 28-38. 44-24 was a big time win over West Virginia home. But then the Cotton Bowl loss, 24-17 loss in the Cotton Bowl in the State Fair of Texas for the Sooners. Their bowl game from 2013, of course, has been there every year. So last year for 2014, they went to the Russell Athletic Bowl and got handled pretty good, 40-6 to number 18 Clemson. That balanced Bob's record out to 500 with an 8-8 record. In the Stoops era, Bob has a couple of conference championships in his era. Of course, has the one in 2000, the one that these guys right here that we're about to talk about, Kansas State, will remember. 2002, 2004, another one of those that those guys remember. Actually, 04, remember, they beat us. Oklahoma then went back in 06, 07, 08 for back-to-back-to-back. And then won another in 2010. And, of course, again, tied with Kansas State, the team that we're about to play, tied with them again in 2012. Speaking of Kansas State is averaging 36.4 points per ball game, while averaging 370.0. That 36.4, by the way, is 46th in the nation. Yards allowed per ball game, that's 370.0 yards per ball game. That's 152nd in the nation. Points allowed per ball game is 24.8, which is 112th in the nation. And yards allowed per ball game, 395.8. That is 141st in the nation. Kansas State, they are held high by their coach, who has the stadium named after him, Bill Snyder. Of course, 2 stints in Manhattan, all in Manhattan, for 24 coaching years. Started out with Bob and company in 89, was there to 2005, retired, came back in 2009, and is currently still at Kansas State at the ripe old age of 78 years old. Last year, Kansas State went 9-4. That's 7-2 in the league. Finished 3rd behind Baylor and TCU, who both, by the way, finished for the conference lead. Kansas State is, 1, 2, 3, and 2 now. 3-2. 0-2 in league play. Their 3 wins came against South Dakota State, or South Dakota, a 34-7 drumming in Manhattan. They then took the road trip to the University of Texas of San Antonio and got a 30-3 win out there at UTSA, and came home to play Louisiana Tech back in Manhattan got a big-time win there, 39-33 in double overtime. Then came the conference play. They stepped a couple of feet out the road to Stillwater and actually had the lead in that ball game. Gave up the lead, gave up the game, 36-34 at Oklahoma State. And then last weekend was in another tight ball game. Was nip and tuck there for a while until the final seconds when TCU caught a game-winning touchdown pass and won it 52-45. After again, Kansas State had a lead. Not only a lead, a big-time lead in this game. 2014 bowl game was the Alamo Bowl. They lost by 5, 40-35 to UCLA. That pushes Bill's bowl record to 7-9, which is a .438 winning percentage, and 16 bowls of his 24 years. Conference or divisional titles in the Stoops era. Of course, we all remember the two classic ones, the one in 2000, the one in 2003, when Oklahoma was supposed to just go in there and drum them pretty good. And that was the Darren Sproles game, if you'll remember. It was like pushing a piano through a, brick wall through that game. Pretty sure he's still running. And then, of course, the other classic game, 2012, that was the one when Landry Jones threw a pick. Blake Bell drops the football. And that was basically the deciding factor in that ball game. Those two particular plays. Of course, the interception was returned for a touchdown. And Blake's fumble happened at the 1-yard line. Any one of those two plays are different. Oklahoma might be the outright Big 12 champion. And they and Kansas State might have played A&M. Didn't happen that way, though. So, now, hope you guys are ready for this one. Hope you guys had fun. Our homecoming is coming up next week. Be ready for that one. Against Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. So finally a team that runs and runs and runs and runs. We played them the last 2 times. Now it's finally time to play a team that will spread it out. In Texas Tech. But first we got to play this one against Kansas State. Should be a tight one. Should be a good one. I hope OU wins. OU should win. They've got something to prove. But let's see if that really happens. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Everyone take care. Everybody enjoy this ball game. Should be a classic one. Boomer Sooner, everybody. Take care. I'm out.